Introducing the ultimate team for your next project. Schluter Ditra, Primer U, and all set.
How about that intro? Pretty good, huh? Probably the best part about this video. Anyway, my whole house is Warmboard radiant heat, the whole thing. And we've decided to tile the whole house. So if you go to Warmboard's website, they give you about a half a dozen ways to tile over the top of Warmboard. Now, there's really only two ways that I would consider out of their list that they give you. And the first way would be to use HardieBacker. And really, there's nothing wrong with using HardieBacker. So basically, you would clean the panels thoroughly, apply your thin set, then screw down the HardieBacker into the thin set, and basically tile over the top of the HardieBacker, just like in this picture. However, I was pretty uncomfortable with doing that because I just didn't want to, every 5-foot piece of HardieBacker would need to be screwed down, and you'd be using a lot of screws. So I chose to go with the Schluter membrane, and the reason being is there's no screws involved. So basically, if you do it right, you can basically attach this Schluter membrane to the top of the Warmboard, provided you go through all the steps seen. So the yellow right there is the primer, the gray is the thin set, then the membrane, then the thin set, then the tile. And if you do the process right, and here's the three things you need. And it's important to use their primer, their all set, and their membrane. If you do it all in the right steps, then your warranty with Warmboard stays intact. If you use something different that's not in the Warmboard website list, then they won't warranty it. So I used all Schluter products because I didn't want to use any screws. I didn't want to risk screwing into any of my pipes. Now the first thing you got to do is apply the primer, and there's a few different ways you can do it. You can spray it, you can roll it on, you can brush it on. Any of those ways will work. Obviously the way I chose to do it was to roll it on. Basically it dries pretty quick too, so even though I ended up waiting a day before I started applying the Ditra onto it, it does say that you can actually, it'll dry in about an hour, and you could actually start applying your Schluter Ditra right on top of it. Now I pre-cut all my pieces and got them ready. I marked out the 3-foot mark where the thin set was going to go, and before I started applying any thin set. And basically that helps, just to prepare. Get all your stuff ready ahead of time, and then just be ready to go. Now, an important part is your water. So on the back of the bag, it tells you 5.7 to 6.6 liters of water per 50-pound bag. And I stuck with their measurement. I was in the 6.7 range, so the higher range that they had as far as water, and that provided me a pretty creamy mixture. Originally, when I first mixed this first bucket, I was on their lower end of the water, and it was a little dry. So I just raised the water to their max water setting, and it provided a real creamy mixture. Now I'm using a whole hog and a big blade to mix this. Now the first thing I do, I burn it into the Warmboard. I'm using the flat edge of the trowel, and I'm just going to make sure and burn into this Warmboard all the way across. And the reason being is just to give it a nice, so it'll stick really good. And I basically just cover this whole section and with this all set. Once I get it all burned in, it was time to basically apply some more thin set and reverse my trowel and angle it on a 45 and run all the notches in a single direction. So I chose to run from right to left, and I basically just, had my trowel on a 45 and just make sure I got a consistent amount all through it. You can put too much cement on there, and that's a problem actually. If you put too much, when you go to flatten out your Ditra, it's going to be pushing that cement all around underneath the Ditra. So basically I tried to follow the instructions, with the Ditra and just keep the right amount on top of this Warmboard. Once I got it all evened out and looking good, it was time to put the Ditra mat down. And this is pretty easy. You want to kind of put it in the right spot ahead of time, because it sticks pretty quick. Like when you set it on there, make sure it's where you want it, and then basically you want to, I'm using a flat trowel right here, and basically I'm just smoothing it out. Now, I would not go out on the Ditra with your knee pads, and basically I just checked the corner to see. I pulled up one of the corners to see how it was. You want to make sure you have good coverage underneath, and then basically I use this flat trowel to smooth it out all, and I put good pressure on it, and basically once I was done with the flat trowel, I took a roller and I rolled across the whole thing. And if you do, when you first saw me doing that, you saw that I went out there on my knees. I would not go out there on your knee pads unless you put a board out there. So future pieces, I would use a 3 foot by 3 foot board, and then I could go out there and basically go on top of it. But anyway, that's how you apply the Ditra. And right here, I'm just cleaning up the excess so that I can get ready for the next piece, so it's nice and clean. You want to have you basically just want it all, keep everything clean, and that's how you apply Schluter Ditra on top of Warmboard the correct way, and you'll still be in your warranty. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe, like the video, and I will definitely see you next time. Later.
There he goes, it's a working man. He's trying to make a living any way he can. And he'll break his back for $1 or $2. Oh, there ain't no shame in what he do.